in the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Life is like a dot or cell. You expand it, it becomes a circle. You are a dot on that circle. There you start your life on the circular path of earth. You begin a journey on that circle. There are many ups and downs you traverse on that circle. There are many ups and downs that I said earlier. And you see the lives. People you meet and know. Some you don't. Some are small and some are big. Some you choose to be friendly with. Some you ignore. And the families together make our society. Together with close and near ones, you make a family. The people's society is small in the beginning. As it grows and expands, gradually or fast, you choose selected ones to be with, just the way you choose to be with your own family, preferably small. Wise, you choose to keep your family small, but with a big hope to keep quality of life. No? Yes, of course. That is how and why all go for a small family. Keep a big hope and be happy. Well, my good viewers, my younger people, ladies and gentlemen, this is Salahuddin Choudhry, your host, restarting the YouTube Penta-S Sand Soul after a sojourn of a couple of months due to family medical issues. Now today's narrative captioned Overpopulation and Explosive Matter. Very important subject and important for the whole world, particularly for Pakistan, where population boom is causing a lot of problem for the government, for the society and for the nation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I begin my narrative. Explosion of any kind anywhere in the world is dreaded. What about population explosion then? Can we think seriously or ponder coolly whether even fast growth of population can be acceptable by any single nation or state today amidst hundreds of disasters or diseases, worsening year after year after year, especially the global warming and climate change arises amidst hundreds of disasters and diseases like I mentioned earlier. Looking askance, the global warming and climate crisis, looking askance if we, the human race, is doing the right thing to our habitat or Mother Nature. So, this is where everything boils down to the factors that I'm going to relate to you, my good viewers. The UN, the United Nations, tells and reminds us every year on 11th of July, we have to watch out on population. Now, 11th of July is a day where World Population Day is observed as recognized by the UN. So to watch out on population, lest we keep on doing injustice to nature and to ourselves, and to keep conscious of the negative effect of unwieldy population growth. UFPA, United Nations, the Population Association, makes all the global community aware and focus on the proper problem of unabated expansion of population and its impact on environment. Mind you, environment, the biggest impact we need to watch out. Indeed, back in 1968, world leaders under UN auspices had declared people have the basic human right to decide the number and time of their children, freely and responsibly. Regrettably, even after 5 decades, modern contraception remains out of reach for millions of adults. Non-awareness and misperception holding them back, mostly in the poor and developing countries. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, that is UN SDGs, is the world's blueprint for a better future. But for many of the least developed nations, the challenges are getting compounded by rapid population growth as well as climate change. As estimated, roughly 83 million people are being added. 83 million people are being added to the world's population every year. Every year, mind you. 83 million. Even assuming that fertility levels will continue to decline, the global population is expected to reach 8.6 billion in 2030, 9.8 billion in 2050, and staggering 11.2 billion in 2100, that is the beginning of 22nd century, according to the medium variant projection by the United Nations. UNFPA works to support family planning by ensuring a steady, reliable supply of quality contraceptives, strengthening national health systems, advocating for policies supportive of family planning, and gathering data to support this work. And it also provides global leadership in increasing access to family planning by convening partners, including governments, to develop policies and by offering programmatic, technical, and financial assistance to developing countries. The crisis-triggered COVID-19 pandemic, unfortunately, since December 2019, has taken a staggering toll on people, communities, and economies everywhere. But not everyone is affected equally. Women, who account for the largest share of frontline health workers, are disproportionately exposed to the coronavirus. This and disruption of supply chains have impacted the availability of contraceptives and heightening the risk of unintended pregnancy. The ensued struggle caused sexual and reproductive health services, to get sidelined and rise of gender-based violence. I mean, that's the worst kind. Gender-based violence has been increasing. Alongside other population problems like family planning, gender equality, hunger, maternal health, child marriage, human rights, right to health, newborn babies' health, and so on got multiplied. So on and so forth got multiplied. Now, the population policy development in Pakistan is a subject of huge importance. We have had no explicit population policy in Pakistan till very recently, although population was implicitly mentioned in all of the 5-year development plans. These plans voiced concerns over the population growth as an impediment to development, a great impediment to development. Pakistan started one of the earliest population programs in Asia. Mind you, that was very interesting. Pakistan was the pioneering country in Asia to have done that. Family planning activities began as early as the 1950s through the auspices of the Family Planning Association of Pakistan, a non-government organization, this particular association, which originated in 1953. The national health policy, including the 1990, 1997, and especially the 2001 policy, was set for the next 10 years to implement. However, none of these policies were implemented entirely in stipulated time. Since its independence, Pakistan has had to grapple with many problems. The country currently ranks fifth, mind you, fifth among the world's countries, fifth most populous, fifth among the world's countries after China, India, USA, and Indonesia, with a population growth rate of 3.1% per year. This is staggering. Too high, too high. The population is expected to rise from 210 million people to 240 million people by 2030. Its population was 33 million in 1950. Mind you, it's unbelievable. It was only 33 million back in 1950. And at that time, it ranked, or it was the 14th in the world. But now, it is alarmingly increased. The current population of Pakistan is more than 225 million based on latest UN projection. Pakistan being among the most overpopulated countries in the world troubles the already vociferous state. Its one big problem is water scarcity, which by 2025 will make it the most water-stressed country in South Asia within decades. Almost 30 million Pakistanis have no access to clean drinking water. The population of Pakistan represents 2.56% of the world's total population, which outwardly means that one person in every 39 people on the planet is a resident of Pakistan. So, water shortage issue will grow worse with population explosion. Population explosion. Women in Pakistan continue to have an average of 4 children. Not enough is being done to reduce the birth rate. One of the main causes really is ineffective family planning and population control programs over many years, as a result of which our population growth has continued more or less unabated, non-stop. Consequence of consequence of fertility rates continued more or less unabated. The rates have been high and contraceptive needs have largely remained unmet. People in Pakistan regard continuing contraceptive practices as a bigger threat to their health than an occasional induced abortion. Funny, interesting. Men and women are reluctant to visit government family planning clinics because of lack of infrastructures and lack of information. Successive governments have paid no attention towards family planning, and their apathy led to rapid population growth that outstrips development gains. If we had had the same population as at independence, we would be much more prosperous today. What a pity, we are not. We're not as prosperous. We've got to be ambitious and make plans towards progress and prosperity. The country, arguably, is no more agrarian, and this has happened for all the wrong reasons. While it did not have any policy to control exploding rates of population, a majority of the lands that are now being turned into villages, towns, and housing societies were once part of the country's vibrant agricultural landscape. If the population rise continues to take place at the current pace, in a few decades, the country will face food insecurity, another very big issue. UNESCO, United Nations Educational Scientific Organization, UNESCO, indicates that in the present scenario, 1 in 4 Pakistani children will not be finishing primary school by the deadline of 2030. It is a pathetic situation. It is really pathetic. Educational facilities are growing, but not fast enough to cope up with population growth. So that is a very tricky and difficult situation we, the Pakistanis, are all into. Well, it is unfortunate, very difficult to conjecture about the future, but that's it. That is the position we in Pakistan are into. That makes the end of the current narrative in the first part. I will come back to you with the second part tomorrow. Thank you very much, my good viewers, my good young people, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Salahuddin and good evening. Right.